Welcome everyone to our daily Forex market analysis call, and this is in preparation for trading on January 10th, 2018. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. All right, as usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar. So today we didn't have a whole lot of data. We did have housing starts for Canadian dollar. Actually, that was, oh, wait. Okay, so we had housing starts for Canadian dollar, and this is where the Canadian dollar took a hit, and that's why the Euro CAD pushed back up. Again, because Canadian dollar, the data came out negative here. It looks like there's been drop in housing starts. Housing starts is an important figure, even though it doesn't say it's a red news. But generally, when there's no other red news, housing starts will make a difference. But overall, though, it shows the state of the economy. So housing starts are becoming, or since the economic crash, they have become important data points. Okay, so coming up, we have Chinese data. Chinese data will have an impact on Australia and New Zealand, so we'll have to keep that in mind. But going forward here, tomorrow we have manufacturing production numbers for British pound, so that will definitely have an impact. And we have trade balance. So trade balance is an important number because it shows the difference between imports and exports. And if exports are higher, which is that is a good. So it will have a positive impact on British pound if we get that. So that will be important. And then again, following the housing starts, we have building permits. So we are expecting a negative number here. So if we see a higher negative number, or even this number, I think we'll see negative impact on Canadian dollar. And then finally, we have crude oil inventories for the US. This will have an impact on oil as well as Canadian dollar. And then we have retail sales number for Australia. So that's our data. So 2 or 3 important pieces of data here. So let's go take a look at our charts now. Okay, so starting off, we'll take a look at Euro US dollar chart. We were looking for a down day. So we were expecting the price to drop, and it did. And now, based on what we are seeing, so it's dropped past this point. So that is negative. So it's still bearish. So the bias is to the downside. One thing we do need to keep in mind, though, the size of the candles is getting smaller, which means the momentum is decreasing a little bit. So this is what I'm looking for, price to test and then drop. So we're looking for a retest of this level, which is 1.1956 level or 50-ish level. Excuse me. And then a drop from there. And the target here will be 1.1880 level. So I'm looking for price to drop there. So bearish bias for euro here. And this is looking at our charts here. We're looking at 1 hour. So this is where we are sitting. I'm looking for price to push back into this previous level and then drop. And right now it's just hovering around that pivot point level. So a couple of different scenarios. One is it could just stay below the pivot and then drop, or it could pull up into this 1950-ish level and then drop. So this is the scenario that I'm looking for, basically looking for price to push up and drop. The bias is to the downside though. Okay, pound dollar here. Pound is in a bit of a range. This is the range that it's been trading in. So we have had a bearish close, but it did get pushed back up again. So based on this candle close, we have rejected the high here. So I'm looking for price to drop back into this 34.90-ish level here. So the bias here is bearish as well. But we have to be cautious. So it is a range-bound move at this point. So for the last few days, it has been range-bound. So I'm looking for price to go into this bottom of the range, and then it could push up higher. So we'll have to sort of look at that. But it hasn't been able to break the highs here. So as a result here, our bias is to the downside. This is our 1 hour view here. if price holds below the pivot point, then we are certainly looking for price to drop into this 134.90 level, and below that. So this is the first target, 134.90, and below that we could see the price go into 134.50 level. So those will be the two targets to the downside, but it is a range bound move, so we have to be careful because price could come back into this white level, which is 134.90, and then push back higher. So that's where we are. And looking at Aussie. So Aussie, we have had a bearish candle close. We were looking for price to move lower here. It got close to our target that we were looking at. So at this point, it is making lower highs and lower lows. So the bias remains to the downside. So the next level I'm looking for would be 77.80 level. So that will be the next target. So the bias is to the downside here. And this is where we are in terms of a 1 hour chart. So looking for price to pull back into this pivot point level, previous support or resistance, and then drop from there. So this is the type of move we're looking at. Now tomorrow, if the crude oil inventories number is positive, oil could get a push up, and as a result, Canadian dollar could drag this Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar with it. So do keep that in mind. New Zealand dollar, this is a nice bearish pin bar here. It hasn't been able to break this high, so I'm looking for price to drop, and our target here would be this level here, which is 71.20. So bias for New Zealand dollar is also to the downside, looking for price to drop. And if you take a look at 1 hour, so this one we talked about, it's a compressed move for the last few days, and now we're seeing that turn. So price may push up higher into this 71.65 level and then drop, but the bias is to the downside, so looking for a drop. Dollar CAD here, we have had a bullish candle close, so we could see the price move up higher. However, it still hasn't engulfed this candle. So we're seeing sort of retracement here, and at this point the trend hasn't exactly changed. So that's something to keep in mind. We could see price push up higher. However, it is not a strong, it doesn't give us a strong sense of an uptrend. So overall trend is to the downside. We do have bullish candle close. So I would say neutral for this one. So we did have an inefficient move. It is filling the inefficiency. So we could see price go all the way up to that's 125.13 level, top of this. So that's what I'm looking for. And once the price gets there, then we'll have to see. We'll have to see how price reacts. It could do that, or it could continue higher. So that's yet to be seen, but it is filling in this inefficiency. So I am expecting the price to move up higher into this 25.13 level at this point. So bias is to the upside, but with caution. Okay, Euro Swiss franc. Euro Swiss franc, we were looking for Euro Swiss franc to drop, but things have changed here. And as we can see here, we have a bullish engulfing candle close for the day. So looks like price is not willing to drop. It's still staying in that uptrend. So at this point, we are looking for price to move up higher. The target here is 177.80 level, which is the top of this little range that it's formed. So bias is to the upside for Euro Swiss franc. Pound Swiss franc, we were talking about price getting into this level here, 133.00. It is there now, and now this is the top of the range here. So with this one, it looks like price wants to push up higher, and that's what we were talking about yesterday. So if it breaks that level, then we are certainly looking for a move to the upside, 134.00. But I would wait for this level to see how price reacts at this level. Right now, it's looking bullish, but it seems to be hesitating here. So we want to see a close above this for a long setup. So price has to go on the other side of this. So looking for price to do one of these and then move up higher. So that's where we are at with that. Bias is to the upside, but again, with caution on this one. Dollar Swiss franc, big move to the upside. We were calling for bullish move, and the target was 9,800, but that went all the way into 9,850, which was our second target there. So price is pushing higher, big bullishness right now. So I'm looking for price to move up higher at this point. So 0.9900 will be the target to the upside here. So this is looking bullish at the moment. This is where we are. Yeah. Okay, pound CAD. Pound CAD is at an interesting level here. So we have a little tiny bullish pin bar. However, if pound drops here further, then we are likely to see this drop here as well, because dollar CAD is not looking extremely bullish. So this one, two things will come into play. Canadian dollar, it has weakened since the housing starts numbers. So I would be careful with this one. What we need to keep in mind here is, can it break this 168.80 level? If it doesn't hold above 168.80, then we could see the price drop. But it is a bullish close for the day, so it could move up higher. But again, I would be cautious with this one here as well, because we do have this inefficient move, and this could just go and fill the move. So I'm looking to see if the price will go above 168.80, and if it does, then the next target is at 169.65, the top of this inefficient move. So we'll be looking for price to go up higher. But the critical thing will be 168.80. If it doesn't go above, then it could continue with this previous downtrend. So that's pound CAD. Pound yen, looking bearish, big engulfing candle close. So looking for a drop. It's already dropped. Unfortunately, this was another one on my radar, and I went away for a little bit and certainly dropped. So too late to enter this trade. We kind of missed this yesterday as well. Euro yen and pound yen had already moved before we came to our trading stations in the evening, or in the morning, sorry. So right now, looking for price to drop into, actually the trend line shouldn't really make that. Okay, so let's get rid of that. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. I'm looking for price to drop. The target 151.00 will be the target to the downside. So this is certainly looking bearish. Euro yen, this was a nice evening start, and we were looking for a drop, and we certainly had a drop. And now we're looking for a further move to the downside. And in terms of target, we could likely see 133.20 level here. So I'm looking for price to drop further. Now it could run into trouble about there. See this support level, this little pin here, and the pins on the other side. So this area, which is 133.86 area or 80 area, I would be careful of that one. If the price gets stuck above this, then it could push up higher, but the bias is to the downside. Aussie yen, very nice bearish engulfing candle close here, looking for a drop. Target here would be 87.50. And so that's the first target. The second target would be around 8,700 level. So this is bearish as well. All the yen crosses are bearish. And now we have dollar yen, very nice evening star set up here as well, just like we had in euro yesterday. But again, all the yen crosses have already moved. So it's hard to get into these trades at this point. So we'll have to look for pullbacks to get anything. But in terms of our target, we are looking for price to drop. And the target, this is with a number of pins here, this makes a good target, 112 level. Okay, Nita, I will address that. And then CAD yen. CAD yen, again, this is also a variation of an evening star trade setup. And as such, we are looking for a drop. The target here, I like this level, which is 89.30 level. We have multiple pins to this level or even slightly lower into 89.20 level. So I like this multiple pins here and here. So that's a good level for us to look at. So CAD yen is bearish as well. Okay, to address Anita's question, we have what are the differences between London and New York sessions? I find London is where the moves start. Lately with the New York, because of a lot of political stuff going on in the in the US, New York session normally isn't my favorite to trade. I used to trade it all the time. With the London, the moves are fresh, so we tend to get this beginning of a move. So that's why I prefer the London session, because we can get on some nice trending moves starting with the London session. With the New York session, I find a lot of times things will be choppy or they will pull back. So that's the main difference between the two. So New York tends to be choppy, London tends to have more of the trending moves. So it's just easier to get more pips out of London, I find personally. Okay, any other questions? Oh, in terms of downloading the pivot point, I will put the pivot point in the Skype room, and I will, so you guys can download that. Oanda, I have used Oanda in the, I have used Oanda in the past, but I have not used their order book. And the pivot point software, just keep in mind, it's for MT4. It's not for the proprietary platform that like Oanda may have or some other brokers may have. It's just a pivot point software. So I'll take a look at that. All right, sorry, keep that in mind. So I will, after our session here in just a few minutes, I will upload the pivot point software. All right, so that's it for today. So unfortunately, we have missed the Euro Yen short that I really wanted to get into. But anyway, so that happens. So I will see you guys in the New York trading session at 3 a.m. Eastern. Guys, have a wonderful evening, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.